Hey guys, new video here. I'm making this video so that I can add it to the commands on my Twitch channel for when I get Atlas questions. And if you're anywhere experienced player, don't watch this video. You'll know everything here. This is more of a video for noobs who have questions on what am I doing with my Atlas, why am I doing it, and all that good stuff. So this is 3.3 Incursion League. What I am doing with my Atlas right now is I'm running a lot of Toxic Sewers here. And I have a whole bunch of them sustaining these, and then later I will be running Channy, so I have a lot of Channy saved up here as well, right? So I'm pretty excited to run them. You know, these are two maps that I've always really loved. A lot of people don't like them, but like I'll kind of go through my reasoning and stuff here. So first and foremost, new players asking like, what should I do with my Atlas? You know, is this good? Is that good? And I would say first and foremost, do whatever you find fun, right? Like they're like, hey, how should I go about my Atlas? Like, do I complete everything? Do I not complete everything? So what I suggest the steps you take is first if you've never done the Atlas before, you do everything and then you think about it and you go, which maps do I love? Which ones do I really, really like running and I can run like 100 times in a row and not like, want to get the rope. So like for me, that's like, Toxic Sewers, it's like Channies, it's like Beach. I mean, like all the other, like barring that they're like lower tiers, maybe I won't run them, but like still, like I know from playing a lot what maps I love to do, and for the respective tier and to like drop the maps and like the maps I'll sell, I love Channies, I love Toxic Sewers. So let's talk about like some frequently asked questions. Okay, so what am I shaping right now and why? Well, right now I am shaping I'm shaping Channies, and the reason is, number one, again, rule number one, I enjoy it. I really like this map. It drops humilities. Humilities are basically 2C each if a divine is 18C, because a tabula, like no one buys tabulas anymore, right? You just like sell it for the divine. So they drop a lot. It's quite common to get multiple humilities in one run. So you save it up. I think divines will go higher later in the league. I'm not sure, I'm just guessing, they usually do. So then I'm gonna get a crap ton of divines. I'm gonna take all the divines late in the league, convert them into exalts, get big monies, right? And right now with my builds, there's nothing I really need to divine, so I'm not gonna be using them myself. So saving up the divines, that's why I'm doing Channies. Now you might be like, wait a minute, but how do you drop Channies if you're running Toxic Sewers, right? And the answer is, like, I used to have Toxic Sewer shapes, so what I'll do is I'll run Toxic Sewers and I drop the Toxic Sewers, and I get like way more than I ran, right? Because you're sustaining with an Atlas strategy. Now with a Toxic Sewer, the reason I stopped doing that is the first reason is because if you unshape your Toxic Sewers, you have 3 white sextants, right? Whereas you would have to use at least a yellow sextant if you didn't unshape it. So I'm like, okay, well, white sextants are obviously cheaper than yellows, so you can buy them easier to use, less stressful to like fill up like yellow and then red. It's like super annoying, right? So white, boom, I'm done. Don't have to worry about it. So that's really nice. I mean, like Channy doesn't really matter because like even though it's yellow, it's white, and I can sextant it like this, you see? And if you have 4, I mean, I guess you'd use a yellow, but anyways, that's later on. So one of my shaping Channies, like I already explained that. And then another thing I might do is, if I ever get sick of Channies, what I can do is I can unshape Channies. To unshape a map, it's 20 Chisels, 5 regrets. You sell them to a vendor, and then you'll get an unshaping orb, and then you talk to Zaba and it'll say like collect Shaper's orb, and you can get it right back. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, well, besides the 20 Chisels, 5 regrets. Okay, and then I'll reshape this into a T10 so that every time I run, you see the, oh wait, that's not it. You see these, every time I run, when I run these, then I'll start dropping these again. I go back and forth, depending on which map I want to run a lot of at that time. Okay, makes sense. Now another thing is, okay, let's talk about how I'm doing that, right? So the basics are like this. If you want a shaped Atlas strategy for one map, okay, and let's just call this map tier X, right? So let's say that this is a tier 10 right here, okay? So I only want shaped Channies to drop. Then what I'll do is I'll make sure that in my tier 10, I only have the Channies shaped. See, you see how all these are empty? They're cleared out, right? None of these are highlighted in any way whatsoever. Okay, so they're all cleared. And so you'll clear tier X, the map you want, the tier of the map you want to drop only, and you'll clear X plus 1. Okay, so that means in this situation, I only want tier 10, so I clear X plus 1, which is 11, right? 10 plus 1 is 11, and all of my 11s, as you can see, are grayed out. They have to be grayed out, okay? They can't be highlighted in any way, even if they Atlas bonus, and I'll talk about that in a second too. So you clear all of tier 10, tier 11s, and then you literally complete everything else. Everything that's not highlighted by this right here, well, uniques you always complete, okay? But everything else you just, well, I guess that's like mutually inclusive in there. So you clear everything else, okay? That's it. It's really easy. So let's make an example for tier 5 Haunted Mansion. Let's say you want tier 5 Haunted Mansion, okay? Then what would you do? You clear all your tier 5s. You go like this. Clear all your tier 5s. See, you see how these are highlighted? You would clear out all those, right? And to clear them, you need 3 sections of the corresponding color, in this case, white. And then also Scouring Orb. You sell that to a vendor, you can use an orb and clear it out. Right click on the orb, left click on the map you want to clear. And then, remember, the rule is X, which is 5, and X plus 1, which is 6. So that's tier 6. I would have to clear all these out, right? You understand the principle? All right, let's say like tier 2, right? So tier 2, I'll clear all tier 2, all tier 3, and then complete everything else. So the principle of it is always the same. That's the easiest way to explain it to like any new player, and I hope that makes a lot of sense. And the next thing is let's talk about like the completion, like the Atlas bonus check mark versus the completion of the map, because this is something that like really messes up new players. Because let me show you what I mean. So when you have a check mark bonus on a map, it means that you have not only completed the map, but you've done the bonus objective, right? In this case, it's kill the boss of a rare version of this map. And that will add 1 point here to give you more Atlas bonus. Now, sometimes what happens is people who have a map tab, they go here, right? And like let's say you're on here, you're like, okay. And then you hover over here. Let me do an example of here because I don't have these clear, okay? So you hover over here and they're like, oh, okay. If I want to sustain my tier 10s, is X10? Yeah, I think X10. Okay, if I want to sustain my tier 10s, then I can't have the Atlas bonus complete or anything. So they'll mouse over here and they'll be like, oh, no Atlas bonus, no Atlas bonus complete, no Atlas bonus, no Atlas bonus, right? Like you saw this one says Atlas bonus complete, and they'll take this to mean that it's cleared off their map. But that's not the case, okay? So make sure you're not just checking here for Atlas bonus. Make sure you go here, type in tier 10 or whatever tier it is for the strategy, and make sure that these are completely cleared out. Because if you kill a boss and you don't do the completed bonus, for example, let's say Cursed Crypt, you kill the boss, but you ran the map not rare, it was magical or something, right? Blue map, then it will complete and your map will fill in. It'll no longer be this grayed out, unhighlighted one. It'll fill in, but if you go here, it won't say Atlas bonus completed because you didn't do the bonus objective. And once again, that doesn't mean, just because the Atlas bonus doesn't show up, doesn't mean that it's not cleared and that you can't drop that map, okay? So big distinction here that a lot of new players will just they'll use this and they'll completely screw up their Atlas, right? Because they'll be like, why am I not dropping the map I want? It might be because of this. And another thing is the rules are, if you run a map, okay, like let's say you run a tower and you've cleared all your tier 9s and tier 10s, right? You can still drop the adjacents if it's connected. You see how like these tier 10s right here, you see how they're not completed? So like based on the rules I said before, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be able to drop those because they're not completed. But because it's connected, you can drop those. Okay, that is one of the rules as well. Now for this, it doesn't matter, you see, because a Toxic Sewer that's tier 10, it has no tier 11s attached to it. So I can't drop the connectors like for tier 11s because they're not tier 11s. Now I could still drop these maps, but they're lower tiers. I just hide them on the filter. Okay, so that's a big rule. So that's another thing that might be able to mess you up. This is very common for new players who are like, oh, I want to farm doctors. So they run a white burial chambers, which is a tier 3, and then they don't shape their relic chambers because this is tier 4. Even if it's uncompleted, if you run a white burial chambers and it's not shaped, you can drop a tier 4 here and it'll take away from your sustain of white burial chambers. Well, that's like still pretty easy, but like, it's just one extra thing that gets in your way. So you have to shape this one if you're doing white burial chambers. So now that I'm talking about it, it's kind of confusing. And then general drop rules is the white trash mobs in the map can only drop that tier and below, right? So if I do a T10 Shanies, the white mobs can only drop T10 or below. The glowy mobs in there can drop up to a +1, but they can also drop everything below. Okay, just because you have a shape out strategy doesn't mean that, because this is also a common question, why am I dropping so many tier 4s? Why am I dropping so many tier 5s when I run tier 10s? And just because you have an out strategy doesn't mean that you can't drop the maps before you, right, below you. It just means that most streamers you see, they have a filter built in that doesn't show any of the maps except for the tier that they want. So that's why it might seem like they're only dropping that map, but really they're dropping a crap ton of maps. They just have them hidden on the filter. So glowy monsters can drop up to +1. So I kill like a rare blue, I can get a tier 11 something, but in this case I don't have tier 11 completed, so it converts down into a tier 10. Okay, if you don't have anything above it, it'll convert down to the next tier that you have a map completed. Okay, that's another rule. And then the boss of the map can drop a +2. So if I ran a Channy map, because I do have tier 12s completed, I could drop a tier 12 from the boss only. Okay, beyond monsters, warbands, rogue exiles, invasion bosses, these like unique bosses, they can't drop maps, so don't worry about those. And party play doesn't affect maps or anything like that. And so, but like what I found is that the boss is such a little part of your map sustain that you can skip it if you want. And that's another common question: can I skip the boss? Yes, you can skip the boss, and as long as you have a Atlas strategy, you can totally skip the boss and you'll still be able to sustain. Okay, now if you have a build that can kill the boss really easily, like why not? It has I think it's like a 1 in 5 chance or something, or like around there, 1 in 4 chance of dropping a map. Once again, it doesn't have to be the shape map or a higher tier. It can be like a tier 2, 3, 4, whatever. If you have over 100 Atlas bonus here, you cannot drop these white maps anymore. You can't drop the tier 1s unless you run a tier 1 or maybe Zaba. I don't know. But like in regular mapping, your shape out strategy, you cannot drop tier 1s anymore, because if you have 100 or more, because it all convert up 1 once again, unless you run a tier 1. Okay, that's another rule there. Another question, what else do people ask? In terms of sustain, do you need to use Chisels, Alchemy, Sextants? And I'll say this: you don't need to use Chisels. You should always use Alchemies. Like you'll never not get back the Alchemy that you use on the map. So you always have to use Alchemies, mandatory. Another thing is, if on a map you have a white sextant for sustaining the maps, I would say you should always use the white sextants that are available given your maximum number of sextants, right? So if you only have 1, then I mean that's pretty easy to throw one on there. You know, it might add like 50 monsters or something like that if you get a monster tier. So I would say, in my opinion, using white sextants is never a bad choice. But if you can't afford them or you don't want to buy them off PoE Trade, PoE Trade, please, pathofexile.trade, pathofexile.com/trade. You don't have to do that either, but it will make it a lot easier to sustain. And another thing is, should you vol your maps? I would say if you're not running Beyond, you can't afford the Beyond, you don't want to run the Beyond, you don't like the Beyond, you don't have to run Beyond, but you should definitely then be voling every single map. Like the returns, I've said this in previous videos, the returns are absolutely ridiculous. Even if you bricks a certain few number of maps, the returns are worth way more than the cost of the whale orb, which is currently a little over 1 Chow's orb. Okay, so always whale if you're not going to Beyond. Now if you are, and then now another frequently asked question is, what Zaba mod is the best? Now that, you know, Breach has been nerfed, it's like kind of lame if you're not using Magic Find and stuff. Like which one should I use? I would say the best one is Beyond, because with the current price of Exalts at 158, that's like almost 40 Beyond rolls per 1 Exalt, and there's no way you don't get 1 Exalt value just from the Beyond mobs that spawn in 40 maps. There's no way in hell. So like, map mods are free this league essentially, right? Well, at least like Beyond is. So you should, if you're gonna pick like an overall good map mod, it's gonna be Beyond, because more XP, more monsters. If you have Headhunter, more rare buffs, more item drops, because Beyond monsters do not spawn in white. They have to be magic or rare, or I guess like unique if you get a big clump. And so they drop a ton of stuff. Way better if you're Magic Find, of course, but I mean everything in this game is for like grinding is better if you're Magic Find. So run Beyond, that's really nice. Honorable mentions, I guess Domination is really fun. It's quick, it's clean. Shrines are cool, especially if you have a goal. So just Domination's fine. Once again, the Zaba mods this league are essentially free, so you should try to be finding one of those that you enjoy running. Anything else? I won't talk about like elder stuff, because like I haven't really done it, because I don't like maintenance elder shapes that you push where you push like elder into a corner and try to like ping pong back and forth, or like get the elder on there all the time. I just don't like maintenance. So you can watch other videos that explain that process to you. I'm not going to do it this league because I'm lazy. And what else do people ask? Yeah, that's about it. Oh, overall good maps, like which map should I shape? Most people do like T10s and above, right? So T10, I'll just give you my recommendations, like Haunted Mansion, Toxic Sewer, Channies, really good. T11s, like Underground Sea is like regarded as like really nice for number of monsters, really nice for Beyond, decent layout. I don't run it as a Registrar because I have to put in a Flame Dash, and I don't want to do that because there's like terrain that I have to like traverse. I don't like that. Okay, so, and then of course like you can do Elder of like any of the things I just mentioned. Maybe like Underground Sea is the best, like you can easily. And a question of what can I sustain? You can sustain any tier of map you want with proper investment. So let's say you want to sustain like white barrow chambers, you don't have to do anything. Ouch and go, even if you don't have like relic chambers shaped to like stop that from taking some of your +1 drops. Even if you have like 80 70 Atlas bones, it won't matter, right? Move up into tier 10s. You definitely have to ouch me. You have to have like an Atlas strategy with like probably your 11s cleared, and then when you go up to like T16s, you might have to like do sextants, you might have to do chisels, you might have to put in a few sack frags here and there. Maybe clear out a temple a little bit better than you usually would beyond the juicy rooms. So like I can say without a doubt that you can sustain any tier you want this league with enough investment. Okay, and that's about it. That's what I'm doing. For my Registrar, I'm level 97. As you can see, I'm almost level 98. I will be probably running Sewers until Sewers and Channies probably until I get to level 100. Then I'm gonna switch to like full Channies with my other character once I level that guy up, and then I'm gonna do some boss killing. I'm gonna do some like Shaper stuff, maybe some Uber Elders. Uber Elder is weird because like it's such a pain to spawn. Like, can we just get some fragments to throw in to do Uber Elder? Like doing this like influence stuff is puke. Okay, so I don't like that. But yeah, anyways, so I'll be doing some bossing stuff, and that's about it. All right, if you have any questions, ask below, or you can watch my stream, ask questions there. Twitch.tv/QTalk_. Okay, bye. Oh, wait. One more thing. Tin foil hat. All right. So there's a thing I can't confirm, but I feel that's true because someone mentioned it to me. All right, and here it is. Now, once again, this is complete nonsense. You don't have to believe it. This is just like what I feel, and this is just a little anecdote, okay, for the boys, and that is that if you have let's say you have 2 tier 10 maps, right? Toxic Sewers and you have Channies. If my Toxic Sewer is shaped and I'm running Toxic Sewers, let's say I get out of 50 maps, I'll get 150 Toxic Sewers. Okay, let's just assume. Now, if I run a T10 Toxic Sewer and I keep running 50 of those, when I have Channies shape, I feel like I'll get like 200 or like 250 Channies. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that if you run a tier map, but you have a different map on that tier shaped, you will drop more of that other map, like much more of that other map, than if you're running a map of a tier and you have the map that you're running shaped. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. So for example, if I run Channies tier 10 right now, if I run 50 of these Channies with Channies shapes, I might get 100 Channies. But if I run 50 Channies tier 10s and then like shape Toxic Sewer instead, I'll get like 200 Toxic Sewers. Now once again, this is like unsubstantiated, but I just feel this way. I feel like the Atlas is bugged, okay? It's just a gut feeling. I'm just gonna say that right now. Doesn't really matter because like tier 10s, nobody cares, right? But that's what I think. All right, bye guys.